Hello, hello, hello. How's everyone doing? Another week, another episode. This is Stats Over Politics. My name is Shaun alongside my co-host, Mr. Kevin Dent. Mr. Jaevon will be joining us sooner rather than later. Kevin, how are we doing on another episode, but a new era of Stats Over Politics?
Yeah, man, it's weird. I was just going to bring that up because every time, if you guys don't know, I'm the one who posts for the social. So now when I was doing all the mentions, I only tagged 3 of us. And I was like, damn, this is kind of weird. You know, we have a new logo. We have a new group chat. So it's kind of weird. We had our farewell episode with Gary last week. If you guys did not catch that episode, he's always going to be a part of the family, though. Like I said, there's no Stafford or politics without Gary. When we were bullshit, throwing names back and forth, seeing at the wall, seeing what stood, Gary was there from the jump. So there's no Stats or politics without Gary. And like Shaun mentioned last week, he'll be up on guest episodes. So this won't be the last time you guys see of Gary. But just from a standpoint of how I'm doing, man, I cannot complain. As you guys know, I look a little lower this episode. I've had a long day standing up on my legs, so I'm just going to sit down for this episode. I usually stand up for 2 hours, and Shaun and I were talking about all the benefits before the show, but, you know, sometimes it's just not going to work for you, and today is one of those days, but besides that, man, I am doing well. We are finally out of this damn heat wave in Oregon, Shaun. It's been like 95 plus every day, and I know that's none to Sacramento. I get it. My sister and mom tell me, Kevin, you know, it could be 100 or whatever. I'm like, you know what? Anything over 80 feels like 100. I'll tell everybody this till I'm blue in the face. My whole life, I was taught that 60 degrees was big jackets, bundle, beanies, gloves. I come out to Oregon, 60 degrees, they're wearing flip-flops and sundresses, shorts. And I'm like, you guys aren't cold? So I've got a different love for the weather now being in Oregon. But how are you doing today, Shaun?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. And as a follow-up question to that, so like anytime that I go to Lake Tahoe, it's tough at points during the summer, like not often, but there's a couple of weeks during the summer where if you go to Tahoe, you're going to be miserable. It's going to be like 95 to 100 degrees, which again, doesn't sound that bad for those of us living in Sacramento that have been dealing with 110 for the last 2 weeks. But the catch about Tahoe is it's very rare to find indoor air conditioning. Well, I don't think it would be outdoor, but it's very rare to find air conditioning in the whole like South Lake Tahoe, North Lake Tahoe. Do you guys have air conditioners like everywhere in
Dude,
Oregon?
that's funny you say that. Only in like restaurants and like malls. So my first apartment out here, I came in the summer because we went to Panama my first summer out here. So for the basketball team. So we had to come out here early and it's 115. So I'm like, all right, you know, just a kid from California, walk downstairs, look for the AC. I don't see anything on the wall. Check the little store, the HVAC closet, there's nothing in there. Call my coach. What's up? He goes, you didn't ask these questions when you moved in? I said, no, I just, you know, it's common sense to have AC in places. He's like, yeah, Kevin, it's hot for 90 days here. There's no AC. So that since 2017, I bought a indoor unit, and I've been using that shit ever since. That has probably been one of the best investments I've ever made was that indoor AC unit. And it's funny because when Alyssa and I toured this house, we were like, oh, yeah, Kevin, like the room in the garage can be your game room. And now that we're doing this in the summer, there's no vents in here. Boy, I don't know if you saw, Shaun, when you watched back the episode with James, but I'm constantly drenching myself in sweat. It was awful. It was awful. So, but yeah, it's only hot for 90 days out here, so it makes sense when you think about it. But just being a kid from California, where everywhere you go there's AC, there was a huge culture shock for me.
Yeah, most definitely. And as Dad Dent says on the YouTube comments, 95 with a bunch of laughing emojis. That's nothing to us in Sacramento. That's considered cool during Sacramento summers. And as VLone34, I don't know if this is our guy Vonnie or one of his friends, but VLone34 says there's no AC in the Northwest because it rains all the time. That's very fair. And even though our guy Gary isn't with us anymore on an every single episode basis, Uncle Manny still tapped in. We appreciate you, as he says, have a great show. Thank you to Uncle Manny, who made a funny, terrible towel joke in our fantasy football group chat.
We'll see how long he's here once the Cowboys start playing.
Well, Uncle Manny, we are going to have a Cowboy segment on today's show because, as has been discussed in the group chat, CeeDee Lambs is holding out from Cowboys training camp. We'll get to that a little bit later. Hopefully, Jaevon is here with us by the time we get to the NFL, Kevin, because not only are we going to talk about the Cowboys, we're also going to talk about the Packers and Jordan Love. But primarily, and this hurts my heart because Kevin's been throwing jabs at Jaevon and I nonstop about this, and it got worse today. Like, I haven't been concerned at all, but it actually got concerning today, and that's regarding Trent Williams and not Brandon Ayuk. We'll get to all of that today here on episode number 105 of Stats Over Politics. But before we get there, Kevin, the most important thing that happened in the sports landscape this past weekend, at least in my opinion, was the WNBA All-Star Weekend, as we had Friday, where we had the 3-point shootout, the 3-on-3 challenge, and then the 3-point shootout. And then we had the All-Star Game itself on Saturday, which was the highest rated All-Star game ever, like broke countless records. And so as we get into covering the WNBA All-Star Weekend, I just wanted to review what happened. So Alicia Gray of the Atlanta Dream, she not only won the skills challenge, she also won the 3-point shootout. And the crazy thing about when she won the skills challenge, and I forgive me guys for not having this stat and the numbers right in front of me, but I remember seeing right after she won the skills challenge, something on Twitter that said, like, Alicia Gray gets paid $55,000 for winning the skills challenge. Her rookie year, she made $60,000 or $50,000 for her whole salary as the 4th overall pick from like 4 years ago. And so that just blew my mind, but it has just shown how much progress the league has made since then. But anyways, Alicia Gray, she wins both of the individual skill competitions. Then we saw the U.S. women's select team going up against the 3-on-3 squad that's going to be competing in the Olympics coming up in less than a week. And so it was a great first day of All-Star Weekend, but then it takes us to the second day, and this all happened in Phoenix at the Footprint Center. Shout out to Matt Ishbia for really believing in equity and backing it up with his words, as the Phoenix Mercury just opened a brand new facility that is for the women only. So that's now 3 teams in the WNBA, 25%, that have women's only facilities. That's the Seattle Storm, Las Vegas Aces, and now the Phoenix Mercury. But anyways, Kevin, then that takes us to Saturday as Team WNBA, for the second consecutive time. This is only the second time that we've seen this format, but for the second consecutive time, WNBA All-Stars beat Team USA in the actual All-Star game. They even got it up to like a 20-point lead at one point. Team USA chipped away at the end, made it a lot closer, and it ended up being a single-digit deficit that they won by. But anyways, Kevin, just what were your general thoughts on WNBA All-Star Weekend and just the growth that we've seen in the league?
It's awesome. Before we kind of get into it, I saw online that they're going to try to grow the season to 44 games. How many games is it currently?
I think it's 40, and that just got bumped up from like 36, 35 in previous years.
Got it. But it was super nice to see. I was super, like, literally, Shaun, until this morning when I called Alex, I was so confused how they're doing All-Star break, and then they're just going to go back to the season. I was like, half of the players are going to be in Paris. Like, how does this work? Mm-hmm. And she goes, no, every 4 years they just get a month-long break. Because I was wondering, I was like, why doesn't the women's team have any exhibitions? Because they're still playing, like, for their season. So that was very interesting. And if they were to lose, I feel like then that format maybe might have to change. But just due to their season being so late in the summer, I feel like that's a conflict they always run into. But it was an interesting format to see. It's interesting to think about it because a lot of people on Twitter were saying Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, they didn't deserve to be here, blah, blah, blah. But what a lot of people aren't taking into consideration are, I think there's 13, 14 girls on the All-Star team, USA team, yeah? Around 14. So those are necessarily the top 14 players in the WNBA. So taking them out of that then now brings the girls like Caitlin, the women like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese to be on this platform. The thing that kind of was interesting to me is that when the long-term things are girls or women like Asia Wilson just not going to be credited for this All-Star game, like are not going to be credited for this making an All-Star team?
No, I think basically if you're a member of Team USA and it's in this format, then you're credited as being an All-Star.
I would love for the NBA to do this.
Man,
like I know, like overseas basketball is growing, and I'm sure we'll get into that later. And I know everyone saw the tweet that the Dream Team played 9 pros and Team USA's played 69 already, and they've only played for 4 or 5 games. So the game is just continuing to expand worldwide. But for you to bring these USA guys and essentially all the guys that were snubbed and to line them up, I think that'd be a hell of a game to see, because a lot of people in the world, including myself, thought Jalen Brunson should have went over Tyrese Halliburton. So to see those guys kind of match up in person would be great. But the W is continuing to grow. One of my best friends lives in Arizona, and he was like, dude, like, you would have thought it was football season. You would have thought the Chiefs were in town. Like, it's because he works at Enterprise, so everyone's coming through to get a rental car. And when he's asking people what they're doing, he had no idea that it was All-Star Weekend. And he's asked so many people, like, yeah, we're out for All-Star Weekend. And, like, I don't know. Like, as you guys all know, I'm a casual. So, of course, I didn't watch last year's W All-Star Game, but I did watch bits and pieces this year. I did think it was interesting that when Dame wins the three-point and MVP, we see it happen in the women's side. Obviously, she didn't win the MVP award, but for her to win the skills and the three-point, those were both things that haven't been done. Well, in W, it's never been done, but in the NBA, it's only happened, I think, one other time. So that for both those to happen in the same calendar year is awesome for the game. And to bring more eyes and Caitlin Clark and to see her and Angel Reese do a pick and roll. Now everyone's talking about what happens after their rookie deal. Are they going to team up in free agency, A, B, C, and D? But I had a great time watching. I wasn't able to watch the full game, but I watched all the highlights. And it's interesting to see like Shaun mentioned, you see the USA team kind of hit that switch because they're like, all right, like we should be winning this game. But for everybody that's out here watching the women's and the men's Olympics team, you have to remember, I know comparing to the WNBA All-Stars really isn't the same kind of comparison to men's overseas team, but they've been playing against people that have been playing together for years. So it's not like this USA team has been doing this every summer. The women have been together for 6-7 days. They played one exhibition game, and now they're going overseas. Like the guys played, I think, 6. And they had a 2-week-long training camp. So it's going to be interesting to see how the women done. But I know Stephen A. Smith said they've won, I think, 7 out of the last 9. Is that an accurate
of gold medals?
Yes.
They've won like 7 in a row.
7, yeah. Okay. So, I mean, they got the talent. It's going to be definitely interesting because I was talking to somebody at work about this, just the LA Olympics on the different teams. There's the LeBron Jameses of the world, the Brittany Grinders of the world, possibly even the Asia Wilson of the world are no longer. Well, I mean, in the W, they play a lot longer, but just the passing of the torch, we're going to see the Caitlin Clarks on the team. We're going to see the Angel Reese's on the team. So it's going to be really interesting to see, but the W is growing out the wazoo, and it helps that my host keeps me in tune. So if there's anything that goes on the W that is not coming, it's coming up in the group chat, no matter what. He's going to put it in there, and he's making sure that we are not – there's casuals, and then there's Kevin, and then Toddy. So as long as we're a step under casual – well, maybe not Toddy.
No, honestly, bro, I think you need to give yourself more credit. I'd say there's casuals, and then I'd say there's you and Toddy. You guys are above the casuals because, I mean, you at least, like, know what's going on in the WNBA at this point. Like, not on a game-to-game, team-to-team basis, but you generally know what's going on in the WNBA. And a lot of it has to do with me sharing it and making a point about it. But I just absolutely – I've said this numerous times, but, like, I followed the league – like as a diehard fan of it since 2020. And I've just seen it grow so much just in the last 4 years. And it makes me so happy to see. And yeah, it's been 7 straight gold medals for the women's Team USA basketball team dating back to 1996. And so they're going to continue that hopefully this year. I don't see why they wouldn't. But just getting to a couple of factoids from WNBA All-Star Weekend. So, and this is from Front Office Sports on Twitter. The 2024 WNBA All-Star Game averaged a record 3.4 million viewers on ABC. That's up 300% from last season, year over year. Nearly triple the previous record from 2003. And it was the league's most watched telecast since its opening weekend in 1997. They are basically setting records nonstop. The only records that even come close to it are when the league first started and everyone was kind of curious, like, okay, what is this new thing? And then that's when a bunch of people were locked in. But, man, Caitlin Clark, she is truly, truly changing the narrative. And got to give a lot of credit to Angel Reese as well. But honestly, like, Angel Reese deserves a lot of credit. But when it comes to, like, legitimate casuals, Caitlin Clark is the name that I keep hearing. They're like, oh, yeah, I'm actually interested in the league now because of Caitlin Clark, yada, 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 Caitlin Clark. And so shout out to her for really changing the league as we know it. And Team WNBA, they won 117-109. And a lot of it had to do with the game's MVP, Arike Ogunbowale, who scored 34 points in the second half. All of it was in the second half. She had 0 at halftime. And Cheryl Miller, obviously, an all-time great when it comes to women's basketball. She said to Arike, "You're thinking too much. Like, let's just take a deep breath." And the team was joking with Arike after the game, like, just got to take a deep breath. Because once she did that, she went off. And I absolutely loved it. Because over a month ago, when these teams were decided, I think it's been more than a month at this point, Kevin, what was the #1 name that I told you should have been on Team USA?
Her. And all the casuals like me are screaming Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese. And it's funny you brought this up. I was going to ask you after. She went on the nightcap and they asked her about it. She's like, I withdrew my name a while ago because I knew I wasn't going to make it. So it's kind of crazy to think, but then you have to think about it. Like the guards in her position are a lot of the older guards in the league, and you have to give them their flowers. It's like when Larry Bird and Magic went. Like, yeah, you could have sent Isaiah Thomas, but he's not Magic. You got to continue to put in the guys who won. And like Shaun mentioned, they won 7 in a row. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah. So to get to what Arike was alluding to with. Arike literally said, "I withdrew my name because of politics." Here we are on Stats Over Politics, and we chose this name because of all the politicking that happens in sports. Like, we see Arike has been killing it in one of the league's top players. Like, I even had a friend of mine, Aaron Jackson, text me a couple weeks ago because he's been getting into the WNBA this season, and a lot of it has to do with Caitlin Clark. And Aaron said to me, like, "I think Caitlin's already a top 5 guard in the league, yada, yada, yada." And I'm thinking of point guards and shooting guards. And I said, I don't know about top 5. And then a month passed. Caitlin set like 4 more records, and she's probably top 5 at this point already. But when he asked me, I said, I don't know about that. I would still take Chelsea Gray, Sabrina Ionescu, Jewel Lloyd, Arike Ogunbowale, and I even threw a Kalia Copper out there. And I was like, I would rather have any of those players right now. And the reason why I'd rather have Arike Ogunbowale is, yeah, she has her cold stretches like any athlete does, but like she is truly one of the 12 best United States women's basketball players, period. And so she should be on the team. The reason why she's not on the team and the politicking comes right down to the head coach of Team USA, Cheryl Reeve, who is the Minnesota Lynx head coach. So it's cool. Like, Cheryl Reeve, she's won 4 WNBA championships. She can thank Maya Moore for that. But Cheryl Reeve is a very, very tenured, experienced, well-respected coach in the women's basketball space. But she lets her own personal feelings get in the way. And I ultimately think that's why Arike wasn't selected to this team. Because when you look at it, like, simply put, she's one of the best 12 in the world, like I said. And I think ultimately Cheryl's reasoning for not wanting Cheryl Reeve, that is, her reasoning for not wanting to have her on the team is a lot of people like to say, like, oh, like Arike is like an isolation player. Like, she just wants to get her shots up. Like, she's not going to be playing within the system, within the team like they want her to. I don't believe that for 1 second. We've seen Michael Jordan do it. We've seen Kobe Bryant do it. On the women's basketball side, we've seen Diana Taurasi do it. Like, these great players know that they're playing with other great players, and so they adjust their game accordingly. So it's just very frustrating to me that Arike didn't make Team USA, but she was smart enough to pull herself out before they could pull the rug out from under her. And my favorite part about all of this, Kevin, is the fact that you look at the last time that this matchup happened in 2021 before Team USA went to Tokyo. And like I've said before, this is only the second time that we've seen Team WNBA versus Team USA. But Kevin, do you know who the All-Star MVP was in 2021, the last time that these two squads matched up?
I do not.
It was Arike Ogunbowale. So
yeah, that was a setup. I thought you threw me a lob. I didn't want to be wrong.
Yeah, it's all good. And so Arike didn't win the All-Star MVP in 2023. She didn't win it in 2022. But when Team USA is going up against the WNBA All-Stars, Arike showed them 3 years ago why she should have been on the team. And because they apparently forgot, she had to show them again. And so I absolutely love that. And so shout out to Arike. It was a great showing from her. Shout out to Caitlin Clark. She had 10 assists in this game. She didn't have the greatest shooting day, but she did have 10 assists in this game, which is the most ever by a rookie in a WNBA All-Star game. And Caitlin even came 1 assist short of tying the all-time assist record for a WNBA All-Star game, which is currently held by Sue Bird with 11. It was funny during the broadcast, Ryan Rucco and Rebecca Lobo, who were doing the commentary, they actually, in a mid-game interview with Caitlin, they said to her, like, oh, yeah, you're a couple assists away from tying Sue's record and 3 from breaking it. And Caitlin, in a joking way, was like, oh, I didn't know that. Since it's Sue's record, I'm going to go and break it. She ultimately didn't, but I just love the moxie on her. And so Caitlin sets a rookie record for assists in an All-Star game. But shout out to Angel Reese because she had a double-double in this game, and she is the first rookie to ever record a double-double in a WNBA All-Star game. So even though all the talk is always about Caitlin Clark, and deservedly so, Angel Reese deserves her spotlight. She's getting more and more respect as the weeks go by, and I absolutely love it because she got drafted 6th overall. Realistically, she should have been a top 5 pick. She goes 6th to Chicago. She ends up getting to pair up with Camila Cardozo, who was the 3rd overall pick. So now they have a Twin Towers in Chicago with those two. And so everything happens for a reason. Angel's getting coached by Teresa Witherspoon, another WNBA legend who knows what the life is like to be a scrutinized WNBA player. And she's the perfect coach for someone like Angel Reese. And so I just loved what I saw in this WNBA All-Star game. I love the fact that, Kevin, even if you watched for 15 seconds, that's more than you watched last year. And that matters to me because you, along with so many other people, are finally giving the league a chance. And I'm not saying that you didn't give it a chance in the past, but so many people that I know who I've tried to convince over the last 4 years, they've watched a highlight tape of like the worst plays for 5 minutes. And they're like, this isn't for me. But now Caitlin Clark comes in the league. You see her throwing fancy passes, shooting 40-foot three-pointers. Now people are starting to put some respect on the league's name. And so I will continue to prop up the league. I will continue to scream it to the masses. But this WNBA All-Star Weekend was fantastic. And just real quickly to get to the individual competitions, I did mention Alicia Gray at the beginning. In the skills competition, we almost saw a hometown favorite in Sophie Cunningham almost beat Alicia Gray in this one, but ultimately she fell just short. And then when it comes to the three-point shootout, I was rooting for my gal, Jonquel Jones of the New York Liberty, to win that three-point shootout. It would have been great to see a post win the three-point shootout, and she was going crazy, but she fell 1 point short of winning or at least tying. But her last shot was a two-pointer, so if she made it, she would have won. She missed. She lost. But just a great showing overall from WNBA All-Star Weekend. I absolutely loved it, and so I just want to see more and more of it. And now we have a month off. Everyone can go and enjoy the Olympics. Go watch Team USA Women. See how great that basketball is. And then maybe everyone else can give the league more of a shot than they have in the past.
Before we move on, Shaun, I got to get you on record. July 24th, 2024. Who was your rookie of the year? Who was your rookie of the year?
It's Caitlin Clark. It's Caitlin.
Is it a landslide? You think it's close?
No. It's so close right now, Kevin, that they genuinely could be co-MVP.
I'll get the next question. Have they ever been a co? Because I know there wasn't the men's with Jason Kidd and
Grant Hill.
Grant Hill, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there has been with the women.
Let me see.
And so, but it's extremely close right now. Like Angel Reese, she had a double-double streak of like 15, 16 games in a row. That wasn't just a rookie record. That was a WNBA record. And ultimately, Kevin, I think it's going to come down to whichever team has the better record. And you don't always want to associate individual accolades with the team record. But when it's so close like this, and Chicago and Indiana are kind of in the back of the pack, like 8 out of 12 teams in the WNBA make the playoffs. So you have 66.666% of the league making it to the playoffs. So I don't necessarily want to say it's easier to make the playoffs than it is to miss it, but over half of the league is making it. Overall point being, the last time I checked the standings, Chicago and Indiana are in like those 6, 7, 8 spots. So one of them could finish right on the outside looking in. The other one could make the playoffs. And I think that will ultimately be what decides it, because both players are putting up amazing individual statistics.
Cool question for you. There has not been a co-MVP yet. So do you think this is going to be the year?
Honestly, if you had to make me give a definite answer like I just did, I would say it's going to be Caitlin Clark. But to answer your question, if there was ever going to be a year, this is probably it, because they're both just putting up crazy statistics, and they're both leading their teams to what could potentially break playoff drought. Well, I think Chicago made the playoffs last year as like an 8th seed. But overall point being, both of these teams were kind of left for dead. They both had top 3 picks, and so no one really expected them to make the playoffs. Maybe people expected Indiana to make the playoffs just because of Caitlin Clark. But to answer, I'm sorry for rambling. To answer your question, I would say yes. If there ever was going to be a year in the WNBA for co-MVPs, or excuse me, co-rookie of the years, this would be the year.
Got one more question for you. Since I know you're really locked, I know you're locked into the W, but I don't think you're locked into anything more than you are to women's NCAA basketball. Is Paige a landslide number 1?
Ooh, I don't know about that, because, so Juju's going to take an extra year. Kiki Iriafen, she's going to take an extra year, as well as Hannah Hidalgo. Well, honestly, that's a really good question. Off the top of my head, I would have to say yes, Kevin, but because the 3 players that I just mentioned, 2 of them are USC players, the other one goes to Notre Dame. I think at this point, Paige Beckers is probably the favorite. But did you pull up a list of eligible?
The Washington Mystics are gonna, excuse me for butchering, we have a Kiki Iriafen from Stafford.
Yeah, that's Kiki Iriafen, but she's not going to be eligible because she was a freshman last year.
Oh, well, I don't know why
you got it. Because the thing about the WNBA is you either have to be a graduate from college and graduate from college, or you have to be at least 21 years old. So like Sabrina Ionescu, she could have left Oregon after her junior year because she was already 21 years old, but she went back for her senior year. Ultimately, COVID cut it. But I'm pretty sure that's the eligibility rule, is you either have to be, it's either 21 or 22. It might be 22, but you have to either be a certain age or have graduated from college. And so I would say, yes, Paige is probably a lock. And as Dad Dent says, Paige is the lock as the face of the Valkyries' new franchise. Man, they would absolutely love that. And I just want to get.
She's 21 years old.
Kiki is?
Yeah, she turns 21 this year.
Okay, so if she turns 21 this year, then that means that the rule must be 21. I wasn't sure if it was 21 years old or 22 years old, but that would make sense then. I mean, Kiki Iriafen, she is nice. Like, dude, she was a freshman, if I'm not mistaken, at Stanford last year, and she basically, like, Cameron Brink was still on that Stanford team last year, but Kiki Iriafen carried that Stanford team a lot because Cam Brink, she's such a defensive player, and she's always trying to block every single shot, that Cam Brink is almost always in foul trouble. And so that put a lot of pressure on Kiki. And so Kiki ultimately decided to transfer from Stanford after Tara Vanderveer retired. Cam Brink went to the WNBA. And so Kiki said, let me go team up with Juju in SoCal. And I think that they are going to have a legitimate shot to win a natty this year and compete with that UConn team. But based on age, I'd probably still give the nod to Paige. The only thing I would say with that as a caveat is Paige has had injury history. And so if you're, especially like your dad says, if the Valkyries have the first overall pick, and this is the Bay Area's
what state are they in? Okay, I was about to say. Okay.
This is the Bay Area's new team.
Oh, okay. I was say I haven't heard that name. Okay, got you.
Yeah, so this is going to be the Golden State Valkyries, which is the new. It's going to be the 13th team added to the WNBA, and then the team in Toronto is going to be the 14th. So the Valkyries start next year. So the Valkyries will start as a franchise in 2025. And then Toronto's WNBA franchise will start in 2026. That'll get us up to 14. But anyways, if the Valkyries do end up with the first pick, I don't really know how that'll be decided.
I was going to say, are they going to do an expansion draft, or because they don't have any players?
Yeah, I'm not really sure about that. I'll definitely have to do some more digging to find that out. But just hypothetically, if the Valkyries did end up with the first overall pick, I mean, would you want to put all your eggs in the Paige Beckers basket where it's like, yeah, but I mean, Kiki was just playing in the Bay like 6 months ago. So if Kiki, I mean, I know right now the Washington Mystics would have the number 1 overall pick because the Washington Mystics are by far the worst team in the WNBA this year. But I mean, it's all hypotheticals at this point. But you know, the thing I love about this the most, Kevin, is that now we're starting to discuss women's basketball hypotheticals like we do all the time with every other sport. And so we're eventually seeing the league grow little by little, day by day. And so I love it.
Before we move on, the only other name I know on here is Anissa Morrow from LSU, and she's a dog. I think she transferred from, she transferred from somewhere to LSU last year, and she was a dog. So that's the only other name. We have names like Sonia Critton out of Notre Dame. We have Olivia Miles out of Notre Dame. Shayna Day Wilson out of Duke, Emily Ryan, Caroline Dutcharm. We have Janae Barker, Ozzie Fudd.
AZ Fudd is Paige Becker's tag team partner at UConn.
Oh, she was hurt. Yeah, was she the one that was hurt this year?
Yeah. She's also dealt with a lot of injuries during her time at UConn, so it's tough. I definitely think that top 4 in no order, but that top 4 would probably be a Paige Beckers, an AZ Fudd, a Kiki Iriafen, and then Anissa Morrow. Those would probably be the top 4, and then you go from there.
What do you think about Haley Van? Yeah, in my mind.
Yeah, you guys are just on the exact same page. Haley Van Lith, man. So she's a star at Louisville. Then she goes to LSU. She's ring chasing. She has to basically take a back seat and just become the distributor as the point guard because she's playing on a team with an Angel Reese and with an Anissa Morrow and also with a Flau'jae Johnson. And so she had to take a back seat. Now Haley Van Lith transfers to TCU. And Kevin, I absolutely love this fit for Haley Van Lith at TCU. And people who hear that might think like, what? TCU? Like, why? The reason why? 2 words. Mark Campbell. For those of you who don't know, Mark Campbell was an assistant coach at Oregon during their peak run, during the Sabrina Ionescu, Satu Sabali years, even Niara Sabali, Ruthie Hebert, everyone of that group. Mark Campbell was an assistant coach at Oregon during those years. Then Campbell takes a job at a Big Sky school, Sacramento State University, who has had the absolute worst women's basketball program that I have followed in my lifetime. I actually was a beat writer for that Sac State women's basketball team for 2 years during college. I covered a 3-27 season. I covered a 6-24 season. Kevin, it was disgusting. It was terrible. I did some reporting about how the former coach had a toxic locker room environment. I fucking exposed all of that shit. And they told me, oh, Shaun, you're wrong. How could you report this? Da-da-da-da-da. That coach was let go a year later. So I guess the reporting wasn't too far off. But anyways, the overall point of me mentioning all of that isn't to be petty, but the point is that former head coach Bunky Harkleroad was replaced by Mark Campbell. And it was Mark Campbell's first head coaching job in women's college basketball. What does Mark Campbell do? He turns that Sac State program that had those awful records for so many years in a row. Like it had been probably at least 10 years since that Hornets team was relevant. Mark Campbell takes them to the NCAA tournament. They win the first Big Sky championship in program history. That's what Mark Campbell did at Sacramento State. Then he parlays the Sac State job into getting the head coaching job at TCU. He has a rough first year at TCU this past season to where they were holding tryouts for volleyball players and for athletes from all other sports to come try out for the women's basketball team because they were having so many injuries at TCU during Mark Campbell's first year. So he overcomes all that, and now he has used the transfer portal to build a fucking squad. He's brought in a bunch of great players from all over the country, a lot of names that even I hadn't really heard of till they transferred to TCU. But then he lands the diamond in the rough, the diamond in the bayou, and that's Haley Van Lith, who decided to go to TCU. I love this fit because Mark Campbell and his entire staff are great coaches, and this will give Haley Van Lith the chance to shine like she did at Louisville. That could end up making her a top 5 pick as well. And if Haley Van Lith is anything like she was when she was at Louisville, like I was watching like a month ago, I was watching some Ball is Life interviews with Haley Van Lith from her days as like a high school senior. And they were talking about how much of a baller she was. And it really makes me sad how she's fallen off so much, at least from the peak that she was at Louisville. And so I really could see her blossoming at TCU, and it could end up leading to her being a top 5 pick. Thank you to you and your dad both for mentioning her name, because that I knew when I was saying top 4, I knew I was leaving someone out that I just couldn't think of to be that 5th player in the 2025 WNBA draft. Haley Van Lith has to be that player. I will even answer with one more name, as Dad says. She's still a verified bucket, can confirm. But one other name that I'm going to throw out there as well, so we can even say a top 6, which is half of the first round in the WNBA draft, about Deja Kelly. Deja Kelly used to be at North Carolina. She's now transferred. I
want to say Oregon, no?
I think it might be Oregon. She transferred west. I can't remember exactly where it was. Kevin, you might have just nailed it there. I think she's gone to Oregon. But anyways, Deja Kelly goes from North Carolina, and now she's taking a 5th year. I'm pretty sure she went to Oregon, and she's joining Kevin up in the Pacific Northwest. He's confirming that for me right now. But I think back to the 2020 Oregon. Perfect. Okay, so and that's a great ad for Graves at Oregon as well. But anyways, I think back, Kevin, to the 2022, and I can't believe that we're 40 minutes in still talking about women's hoops. I love this. Anyways, I think back to the 2022 WNBA All-Star Game. It was held in Las Vegas. You see all the great players who are already in the league on the court, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But the reason why I mentioned this and why it's relevant is because there were 3 college players sitting courtside at that game. They were in their best fits, looking awesome. And those 3 players were expected to be the top 3 picks in the 2024 WNBA draft. Only one of them ended up being a top 3 pick. Those 3 players, as my dog barks at me in the background, I'm sorry for the audio-only listeners if you're hearing that. But those 3 players were Deja Kelly, Haley Van Lith, and Cameron Brink. Obviously, Cameron Brink went on to be the 2nd overall pick, but Deja Kelly, she dealt with some injuries, didn't have the greatest finish to her career at North Carolina. And then Haley Van Lith obviously does a little bit of ring chasing, has to take a different role at LSU. Now she is going to be the star again at TCU. But Deja Kelly, look out for her too. So that's 6 names right there. We could see that's 6 names that we could see as the number 1 overall pick in the 2025 WNBA draft. As we could see Deja Kelly, Haley Van Lith, Anissa Morrow. We could see Kiki Iriafen, Paige Beckers, or AZ Fudd. And with that, Kevin, there's so many different possibilities. But now we shall take a moment to welcome in, as Kevin, I'm going to steal your line here, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Jaevon Mr. Jaevon Toddy, the Podfather. Welcome to the pod.
What's going on, man?
Thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to fit us in, man. We appreciate it.
Hey, man. Pleasure's all mine.
Oh, is that a new background piece? Okay. We haven't seen that one before.
What is that? Oh, yeah.
What is that?
My granny made it. My granny made it. It's like an album of like me when I was a kid, my dad, and then makeup.
So I have a question. Who does he look more like, he or self?
Man, he really liked my dad when he was a baby. Like if you do the side by side, when my dad was a baby, when he was a baby, they're twins.
I tell Alyssa all the time, man, all my homies' kids look like them. If I get a kid that look like you, I'll be hot.
We went on the day.
You said what?
So we went on the day. I told Alyssa to fire it up when we was on PSN.
Yeah, she's like, all right, Kevin, here you go. Toddy wants you. No, we only have room for one Podfather for now. Give me a couple more years.
Kev said he need to live life. He's almost 30.
Man, I'm almost. I go to bed at 9:30 now. You know, I got to catch up. I hung him up a while ago, man. Everyone else been catching up. Now my turn to catch up.
Well, welcome to the pod, Mr. Jaevon. Before we move on to our next segment, did you have any thoughts on the WNBA All-Star Weekend?
Oh, yeah. So Shaun was telling me, I said, hey, Shaun, what do you think about the WNBA game? What you thinking about? Who's going to win? He was like, take the Team WNBA and the points. And I was like, all right, let me go fire this up and see what the spread is. So Team WNBA was favored by 7 points. And I was like, that's kind of high. I was like, it's a lot for an all-star game. And I was looking at the rosters, and I was like, the team seemed pretty even for the most part. And I was like, well, which team is A'ja Wilson on? She was on Team USA. I was like, is she really going to try like that? The article is saying...
Sorry about that.
That's Kevin Dent. Yeah. But I was really thinking about, I don't know if I wanted to take the spread on that. 7 just seemed too much for an all-star game. So the game, I'm kind of checking back and forth, seeing what the lines do. And at one point in time, Team WNBA was down by like 12 or something like that. They were down by double digits, and they were
early,
and they were plus 400 to win the game, plus 400. I was like, I feel like this is just a bait switch. Like Vegas is trying to get me to take them. Anyways, long story short, the Team WNBA blows them out by like 20-something points, and they covered the seven.
At one point, yeah, I just wanted to just state the record. They were up by 20 at one point, but then they ultimately won by 8, and so they covered.
Yeah, they still covered the spread, which was kind of crazy, and I was just shocked I didn't take that plus 400. Why not, right? Drop in the bucket.
Yeah, well, I mean, and even for myself, like I told you to take Team WNBA with the points because I thought that Team USA would be favored. Apparently, Vegas remembered what happened in 2021 when Team WNBA won that game as well. I'm glad that they ended up covering, though. I'm glad that they covered. And, yeah, it was just an amazing WNBA All-Star Weekend, the best of all time. Hopefully next year tops it as well. And so I'm greatly looking forward to next season already. But now we got the Olympics coming up, and then we got the second half of the WNBA season. So I hope everyone is locked into that as well. As we continue here on episode number 105 of Stats Over Politics, excuse me, as I deal with a little bit of indigestion there. So where we last left off with the Team USA men's basketball team with their exhibition games is they had just defeated Australia 98-92, another close game. But then, in fashion, 105-79, they beat South Sudan by 1 point. 1 point. Shout out to LeBron James for being the hero and saving America. He was literally Captain America in that game. And then in the final exhibition game before the official Olympics start, Team USA beats Germany 92-88. So another close game. Kevin, as we look ahead to the Olympics now, I will simply ask you, as Jaevon, for the audio-only listeners, is crowning himself, just like LeBron has done countless times. But the Olympics officially start for the Team USA men's team on Sunday as they play Serbia, Nikola Jokic, Bogdan Bogdanovic. But Kevin, simply put, this is a bit of a preview, I think we can all agree that the women are going to win their 8th straight gold medal. For the men, it's not as certain. It doesn't feel as certain anymore. Kevin, you mentioned that stat earlier where the Dream Team played against 6 pros. Team USA has already played against 69 or whatever it is. And so, simply put, Kevin, will Team USA, the men at least, win a gold medal in basketball?
Hands down. And we mentioned it when we talk about the WNBA. When you guys look at these exhibition games and you're like, well, we have 13 of the best players in the world, 13, 14 of the best players in the world. How are we playing with South Sudan? How are we in a game with Germany? How are we playing against Serbia? These guys that are on Serbia, South Sudan, Germany. We saw Germany in the FIBA tournament last year go crazy to qualify for a tournament like this. You see Giannis in the qualification tournament trying to get into the Olympics. These teams have been playing with each other for years on years on years. We hear about how Luka Doncic has been playing with this national team since he was 14 years old. So he's one of the lucky few overseas guys who've been just doing this for a long time. We look at the USA team as Americans, like, yeah, we're the best. Like, it's whatever. Like, we're supposed to win. But for these teams in the other countries, like, we're their Super Bowl. They practice for years on years on years to get to this point to make sure that we understand that the world's evolving. So are they for sure going to win a gold? Guaranteed. You got to give them time. From their first exhibition game against Canada, they look a lot better than they do now. It just comes down to taking care of the ball. They have way too many turnovers. You can't – to have the best three-point shooter in the world and arguably probably, 3-4 top in the game, for you guys to be shooting that bad from the three says a lot. Like Shaun mentioned, Captain America, LeBron James, is going in there, and in the fourth quarter, past 2 games, he's put the team on his back and carried them across the finish line. And people are saying, well, they should be blowing everybody out. They should be doing this. At the end of the day, whether you win by 1 or you win by 40 like me against Toddy at NCAA, a win is a win. That's all that matters. Coming out with a W is all that matters. No one's going to look back and say they only won by a total of 6 points. All they're going to say is they won all their games. They came back with the gold. But while we're talking about the subject, I have the exhibition play stat leaders. So who do you guys think leads Team USA in points?
Probably LeBron James.
It is LeBron.
It's LeBron James. Rebounds.
LeBron and AD lead every single category. That's what Kevin's getting at.
That's not true.
It is true.
LeBron leads in rebounds.
AD leads in rebounds. Who would you guys say leads in assists?
LeBron. LeBron leads in assists.
LeBron.
Who would lead in steals? This is the interesting one.
Drew Holiday.
Anthony Edwards.
And
then field goal 60%. Field goal is LeBron, and then blocks is AD as well. So this is
that's why I said LeBron and AD, they lead basically all
everything but one. But I mean, hey, your statement was wrong, so I have to call you on it for the people.
You're wrong.
You're right. You were wrong. 6 out of 7 is 100% around here. All right. But this team is going to get rolling. They're throwing out different starting lineups every game. They're kind of in the mud right now, trying to figure out who's going to play. But Steve Kerr understands that we're playing these games without the all-time leading scorer in the Olympics, and Kevin Durant. So once Kevin Durant gets back in this momentum and we get to see him kind of fitting with this team in jail, I think this team is going to take off. So hands down. You said what?
Is he playing on Sunday?
No, probably not.
Is he going to play? Is he going to play?
If he doesn't play Sunday, I don't think he plays at all.
So, I mean, this is kind of the team that we're looking at right now. Not to cut you off, Kevin, but I mean, it's pretty much been the LeBron and AD show. I mean, Steph's
had one good game.
Steph's had one good game. Anthony Edwards still trying to figure out his rhythm. And it really just is, as my son is trying to get in on the conversation, it's really, you're just trying to figure out what the lineups are. I mean, Anthony Davis doesn't start, but he's leading, these blocks and rebounds. He's been playing better than Joel Embiid. So are you going to bench Joel Embiid for Anthony Davis? A lot of people, scoff at that, but I mean, if you look at how he's been playing with this particular team, it only makes sense. The numbers don't lie. This stats over politics. So, like Kevin already mentioned, they're dabbling with lineups. You're kind of wondering who's going to be the starting five on Sunday. But I mean, as long as LeBron's there, they have, pretty much prevailed. They're undefeated in exhibition play. Don't bet on the spread for Team USA. I'll say that right now. They're favored by 43.5 against South Sudan. And then they were favored, I forgot what it was against this past couple of games. But I remember South Sudan, they were for sure favored by 43.5. And like minus 10,000 to win. and they won by 1 point. So I'd chill out on betting the spread. Maybe bet the overs in these games. But I think Team USA will ultimately win. I think they have the best basketball players in the world. I did see that there was like a stat on how many NBA players the Dream Team played versus however many the NBA play or this. I don't know what name you would give this Team USA team yet. They don't have a
Avengers.
Name. The Avengers, I guess. But the Dream Team played against like 9 NBA players, and the Avengers, as Kevin is now naming them, they played against like 61 NBA players. So I get a lot has changed now, but there is more of a level playing field, I'd say, from now and back in '92. But I still believe the best collective talent besides as Shaun, or not Shaun, Kevin. What's going on, Kevin? He's got a background music thing going on. I think we all have background things. I got my son. Kev's got
even today. I'll lower my camera, move my arm for a sec. Wait, hold on. I gotta get this right. There we go. Even my dog, he's like there in the back. Wait, nope, he moved. Now you just see the blanket. He's
just the blanket.
Yeah, he's literally to the left of the blanket, but he's been woofing in the background too. So
it's a nice shirt you got on, Shaun.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, next man up. Anyways, Toddy, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Mako's trying to get his 2 cents in too, but please finish your thought.
No, I just think that Team USA, I thought that their biggest gripe or their biggest challenge would be against Canada, and they beat them by 20 points. So, but then again, they're favored by 43.5 against South Sudan, and that game goes down to the wire. So, I don't know I feel like they'll still see some challenges. I don't think every game is going to be a blowout for them, but I do think you might see a couple of close games here and there, but I think we'll still get those blowouts occasionally from Team USA.
Toddy, I don't count your chickens before they hatch, because that was cool that they beat Canada by 14 points in an exhibition game. I would be more concerned when we get to the Olympics, if they do match up with Canada beyond the group stage, if it's in the quarterfinals, semifinals, wherever it may be, that's a game that concerns me a little bit. And as Dad Dent says, we have the best players, but not the best team. This will be close for Team USA. At Asian Draymond says, what up? Then adds, you can have the best players in the world and still be a shitty team. A well-coached Serbia or France could compete. Well, Team USA, France concerns me. Canada concerns me. Serbia still concerns me, even though Team USA beat them by 26 points in an exhibition game. They are the one team that I'm concerned about in Team USA's group stage round. So it'll be interesting. And last thing that Dad Dent added was 61 former NBA players and multiple All-Stars and MVPs. The world has gotten better around us. Now it's time to see how they respond. I mean, what is Team USA like? Even without Kevin Durant right now, what is Team USA without LeBron? They lose 3 to 4 exhibition games already. That concerns me, because as great as LeBron is, the longevity that LeBron has had, I don't know if we can count on him to be. I mean, he might want to play in 2028 just because it's in the United States.
2020.
But that that would be a 43-year-old LeBron, right? Something like that. Like, if anyone could do it, it's him. But we shouldn't still be relying on him this heavily. And so shout out to him for being Captain America.
LeBronologists can confirm that he will be retired by then.
Will he?
He not playing in that. This is his last go around. That's why Joel Embiid got citizenship. He couldn't wait 4 more years. You want to play with LeBron? You do it now. Call the visa.
Well, you know, it'll be interesting because 3 years ago, if you told me that Diana Taurasi would still be playing for Team USA and going for her 6th gold medal, probably wouldn't have believed you because she is now 40 years old. Or actually, excuse me, she's 42 years old. And so you never know. Like I said, if anyone were to do it, it would probably be that man, LeBron James. So as we keep things moving here on episode number 105 of Stats Over Politics, Shaun Holko alongside Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy. Guys, now it's time to get to some NBA news as former league MVP Russell Westbrook was traded to Utah for the 2nd time in his career. He will not suit up for the Jazz because he was waived, and he ultimately did decide to sign with the Denver Nuggets, who were fairly recent NBA champions back in, oh my gosh, so long ago, 2023. So, Jaevon, I'm going to kick things off with you on this one. Was this a good move for Denver? Was it a better move for Russ? Like, how do you see this shaking out?
I still haven't seen a report saying that he signed with Utah yet, but I think, or signed with Denver yet. I think it's going to happen, but I don't think there's like an actual. I haven't seen an actual report from him signing. I could be wrong though, but yeah, I mean, I think Utah or Denver's kind of desperate. They're, they lost KCP. They lost Bruce Brown. Reggie Jackson's gone. Like, they're kind of just losing guys from that championship team. I don't know. So, like, Russ is coming off the bench because he's not starting. Obviously, Jamal Murray's the starter. You're seeing graphics of this big 3 of Russ, Jamal Murray, and Jokic. Like, Jokic would, or I don't know. Like, I love Russ. But Russ is, growing up, OKC Russ, MVP Russ, like, those were the Russell Westbrooks that, we all kind of love to see. People were coming out arguing at one point in time that he's better than Steph Curry, that he was the best point guard in the league. So now, what is Russell Westbrook now? How do you put him on this roster? Where does he fit in? He's another guard for sure. I think he'll get a lot of minutes. How does he close games for Denver? Like, how would that lineup look? Russell Westbrook, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., Jokic. Like, I don't know where he would fit in. I feel like the best he would look is with the second unit. He'd probably dominate that. But how much better does Russell Westbrook make Denver? Like, the odds are not going to change on Denver to win a championship in Vegas. Like, how many more games does Denver win? To be honest, I'm not saying Russell Westbrook made Denver worse. I'm just saying as a whole in the offseason, Denver got worse. The window closes fast. And I think with Denver losing, these key pieces that they have from the championship team, that, the grass isn't always greener on the other side. So I don't know what Denver's going to look like, going into the regular season. I would assume that they're going to be a playoff team. But what are they, a top 5 seed? I'm not sure. I feel like I can name a couple of teams better than Denver right now to this day. They do have the MVP in Nikola Jokic. They have a Hall of Fame level closer in Jamal Murray. But then again, Jamal Murray's never been an All-Star. So that just tells you how stacked the West is, and, how good you actually have to be. So a lot's going to be put on Jokic and Murray's shoulders for the load of this season coming up. I'm not sure how much better Russ makes Denver, but I mean, it's a cool signing. But like I said, it's not really doing anything to benefit Denver in winning a championship, in my opinion.
Kevin, what do you think about this move?
I'm kind of sitting right there with Toddy. What does this do for them? Does this Toddy mentioned, them losing a guy like KCP? Russ is the farthest thing from that replacement. They have a lot of young guys, Christian Braun, Peyton Watson. So I think Russ really comes in and kind of plays the mentor role. He's been on the biggest stage. A lot of these kids haven't. So for him to kind of come in there and play that mentorship role, and then essentially just ring chase. I don't really know what Russ is at this point in his career. He's not triple-double Russ. He's not MVP Russ. He's not even a top 5, top 10 point guard in the NBA anymore. Like, this is kind of Russ on the back telling of his career. For him to be waived by the Jazz twice, it's crazy to think that Russell Westbrook was waived from a team not once but twice. But with him now being traded for the 5th time since 2019, he is the player who's been hold on, okay, let me rephrase this. The former MVP to be traded the most times is Russell Westbrook at 5. Can you guys name me the 2nd and 3rd players that were MVPs to be traded the most times?
James Harden.
James Harden is at number 2 with 4.
That one was the easiest one. This next one, Kevin Durant.
His other name is old school. Old school.
Ooh, how old?
Karl Malone.
Karl Malone was on the same team for his whole career.
He played for LA.
Well, he did play for LA. I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure he's a free agent, though. I don't think he got traded.
You said old. Let's give it Jerry West.
Black and white TV. No.
Bob Cousy.
Moses Malone was the 4th, the second guy.
Oh, I would not have gotten that one.
So I have a fun little game for us with Russell Westbrook. He has played with 18 All-Stars. Can you guys name me the 18 guys on that list?
Kevin Durant, James Harden, Anthony Davis, John
Go ahead,
Wall.
Toddy. You got this.
John Wall.
He didn't play with John Wall.
Oh no, he
Ron.
didn't. Or Bradley Beal.
Bradley Beal.
Oh boy, we're getting in the weeds. Are we counting Jokic? Does that count?
Yep, we're counting Jokic.
Okay,
so that's 7. Got 11 more.
Oh, jeez.
We're in the weeds. We're in the thick of it.
I'm thinking all the way back to OKC. We already named all the ones I could think of from OKC.
Derek Fisher.
I don't think he made our team. That's tough. Yeah. Okay. So then I move from that. I think about Houston. Oh my God! Why? I feel like
Dwight Howard. No, he didn't play with
Dwight Howard. He played with Dwight.
Did he do it with Dwight?
Well,
So let me preference this. These guys were all-stars in general. And they didn't have to be with Russ, but time in point they were an all-star. Yes.
Okay.
When did he play with Dwight Howard?
Rondo?
Lakers.
Rondo?
Yes. So we have 9 more.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that Dwight Howard had that
Paul Pierce?
3rd stint.
He didn't
play with Paul Pierce.
He didn't play with Paul Pierce.
He didn't play with Paul, though.
He played with Paul George. Duh.
Paul George. So
Carmelo Anthony. Yeah.
Carmelo Anthony. So we're at 7 more. And these 7 are legit hard as shit.
All right, just give it. Okay. Let us hear it. Hold on. So let's hear the
Marcus Aldridge.
You guys will know one of them. Shaun, you know one of them. If you really, really, really think about this, you know one of these players.
Not LaMarcus Aldridge.
Not LaMarcus Aldridge.
LaMarcus. Ooh.
Really think about
Trevor Ariza.
No.
You ready? I got it. Wait. I might not. Kristaps Porzingis?
No.
Fuck. I realized that Porzingis was in Dallas by the time Russ got to DC. Yeah.
You guys give up?
Schroeder?
I should know.
You should know that. That's gonna be the first name I say, and you're gonna kick yourself. You're gonna kick yourself in the absolute ass.
Stephen.
Wait a minute.
Oh, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
No.
This is who Russ has played with.
Yes.
And I feel like it has to have an Ohio State tie.
A different kind of tie that you and I share. I'll give you a bigger hint. Ty does not share this tie.
Oh, the Kings. I'm kidding. Oh, DeMarcus Cousins.
Sabonis.
I just said them.
Oh, Sabonis.
So the guys on this list that you did not name was Domas Sabonis, Caron Butler, Victor Oladipo, Tyson Chandler, DeAndre Jordan, Kawhi.
Oh, Kawhi!
God.
And Tyson Chandler. Those were the guys you mentioned.
I thought I said Kawhi.
Kawhi.
No one said Kawhi. I was like, how does no one say Kawhi? But I for sure thought Sabonis would be the first thing.
I'm sorry.
He let me down as a Kings fan, man. But
I mean, I should have because like literally,
he played with Tyson Chandler in Houston.
Sabonis was literally Russ's rook.
Drafted. Yeah, that was his rookie.
That was his fucking rook. Like that's where they developed their bond. Oh my god. And I really thought I was like DeMarcus played in LA. Like no, damn it. All right. Well, that was a good one, Kevin. That was a good one. It was like 10 obvious ones or even 12 obvious ones. Well, hey.
I would have never guessed Victor Oladipo. Never in my lifetime. I couldn't even tell you what years he was an All-Star.
When he was
an All-Star twice. Couldn't tell you.
Wasn't Oladipo an All-Star when he was with Indiana, or was it Orlando?
I think it might have been Orlando.
It might have been Orlando.
Caron Butler couldn't tell you.
Caron Butler, OKC, right?
Caron Butler was the one that was out of left field. Like you said, Tyson Chandler
was the one out left field for me because I would have never thought Tyson Chandler played that long to play with Russ.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, that's true. Well, it's very interesting. So one team that Russell Westbrook has yet to play for in his career, and I said yet because it's still a high possibility, is the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks just had the most successful season that they've had probably since 1999 when they made it to the NBA Finals. And so the Knicks, they make it to the Eastern Conference Finals, just short of the Eastern Conference Finals this year. Probably should have been there, but injuries got to them. So the Knicks make it to the Eastern Conference semifinals this year. They lose in 7 games on their home floor, obviously, to Tyrese. That did not stop the Knicks from doing what was right, and that was giving Coach Tom Thibodeau a 3-year contract extension. So, Jaevon, this was a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, Tibbs has, had a couple of successful seasons there. Jalen Brunson, even though he does run his guys into the ground until, they're hurt abdomen, whether it's a broke hand or however, whatever it is. But he's going to get the most out of his players. And that's just going all the way back to when he was the coach in Chicago, when D Rose was there. I do think that this is one of the best rosters he's ever coached. If you're kind of looking at it from...
Better than the Bulls?
Well, I'm looking at roster like D Rose was
Lou Alding, Joakim Noah, Kirk Heinrich. They had a roster.
Yeah, you could go back to that. You could go back to his roster in when he had the Timberwolves. But Brunson was putting up historic numbers in this past playoff run. You got a guy in Julius Randle who I think probably stays on the team. If not, they try to trade him away. But OG Anunoby was hurt for the majority of that final playoff run that they had. But I do think that this is one of the better playoff or better rosters that he's had in his career. And this is kind of this is like the window that they have, that 3-year type window that they're going to try and make a run for. And you could see with the trade for Mikal Bridges and a re-signing of OG Anunoby, the Knicks are trying to go all in. So they're getting all their guys now, and they're trying to lock up their coach for the next couple of years. So with that being said, I think this was a great signing for the Knicks. There's some stability being shown. Obviously, there's been some turnover in the front office, and you've been seeing the results the last couple of years with the Knicks, being in the playoffs consistently. And they have a, potential MVP candidate, Jalen Brunson. They're going to kind of ride his coattail and see where he takes them. So this is a good signing by the Knicks for sure.
Yeah, man, it's nice to see that they repaid him. they took this team to places that they have not been before. So to see them double down and they got Jalen Brunson to take a pay cut. It's rumored that Mikal Bridges is going to take a pay cut. So this team wants to play together. I don't see them getting rid of Julius. I just don't know if anyone really wants Julius at this point. He can't stay healthy. Yeah, he had an All-NBA season, an All-Star season when he was healthy, but that's a real big risk. So, moving on. The Sacramento Kings signed Orlando Robinson. I sent this into the group chat, and I knew to myself, count to 20, and Todd is going to say, who? I got to 16, and I got to 16. I was a big fan of us going and getting a backup big man. We needed one. Sabonis isn't a true 5.
You knew this was
here. So, you didn't let me get that far. No idea. I looked him up on Stat Moose, and there's another guy named Orlando Robinson. He plays shooting guard, and that's the dude who popped up.
There's 2 D's.
So I said, yeah, that's definitely not him. So I was like, it's not even worth me trying to research his stats.
Where'd he go to college? Where did was the only?
Couldn't tell you where he played last season. What are your thoughts on the Kings signing Orlando Robinson?
He's a backup center. Is he gonna play 2-way? This 2-way deal? So?
Nah, he's got him a guaranteed deal on a regular roster. So, Alex Lynn gets hurt a lot, so I guess we.
Oh, so he's taking Alex Lynn's minutes?
No, I never said that.
He's not doing that.
Alex Lynn barely plays. There's only 8 minutes to snatch.
I'm just, hey man, Orlando Brown or Orlando Robinson, not Orlando Brown. That's a different. That's a Raven.
So I'm sure Shaun got a lot to say on this subject, but he had to take his dog out to the restroom, so I'm sure we'll revisit this conversation. But we are now looking at host Kevin Dent. We're going to be moving on. We have some training camp buzz. This was a Toddy suggestion. Of course, we have 2 Niner fans, but we're going to make sure we wait for Shaun. So we are going to switch over to Uncle Manny's favorite team, the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb is not showing up to camp. He's not answering phone calls. You got to pay to play. If you don't want to pay me, trade me somewhere where they're going to pay me. Toddy, what are your thoughts on CeeDee Lamb holding out of training camp?
He has all leverage, in my opinion. Who is Dak throwing the ball to?
I'm happy you said that. So, you take CeeDee Lamb, put him over here. Brandon Cooks, 9,273 receiving yards. Jalen Tolbert, 280 receiving yards. Devontae Turpin, 136 yards receiving. We have Jalen Brooks, 64 yards receiving. Ryan Fluttery, rookie, and we have Ryan McMath with a whole 50 yards receiving. So the question you asked is, what does this receiving core look like without CeeDee Lamb? Fucking trash.
They are lost without CeeDee Lamb. And they got a bunch of 2s and 3s that Kev just named. Brandon Cooks is probably the best guy that you just named. I feel like he's a little bit past where he needs to be. I think this is a second outing with the Cowboys, as I was talking to a fellow Cowboy fan and cousin Jew the other day. I'm kind of getting his thoughts on what he thought about CeeDee Lamb holding out. He was like, hey, man, we're going to have to pay him. There's not really anything that we can do. We got to pay. He's like, we got to pay Dak, and we got to pay Micah. I'm like, there's 3 guys that want top money at their position. So you would essentially be resetting the market for 3 positions. I don't think CeeDee should get what Justin Jefferson got. I think he should get something close to it, maybe like a little bit under, maybe because Jetta's got 35. Maybe he should get like 33 with a crazy guarantee. Because you got to leave some meat on the bone for your brother in Micah Parsons. But, Dak Prescott, man, he doesn't play for money. He's in the final year of his contract. So is Mike McCarthy. They're both coaching for their job. Well, Mike McCarthy's coaching for his job, and Dak is essentially playing for his job. I'm not sure if, Jerry wants to re-sign him. But does Jerry want to be 5-11? Does Jerry want to be bottom of the barrel and want to have to start all the way over and, start from the bottom? I don't think Jerry Jones wants that. I think he wants to kind of
from the bottom. Did you forget the 3rd overall draft pick? The San Francisco 49ers traded 1, not 2, but 3 first-round picks. He got Trey Lance sitting on the bench waiting his turn.
I'm glad you mentioned that, Shaun. They do have Trey Lance waiting in the wings, former 3rd overall pick, former San Francisco 49er. I don't know if they want to take that leap because essentially you'd be fine. Let's just say the Cowboys go like 7-10, which I think is very realistic for them based on what they didn't do and what happened around them. 7-10 is very doable. 8-9 kind of sees that Mike McCarthy's gone after that. So then your coach is gone. Well, if you have a mediocre season, I would assume that Dak Prescott is gone. So you would not have a coach and not have a quarterback, and then you would have, Trey Lance in the wings. And I don't know if Jerry wants to take that leap of faith. And let's just say they just paid CeeDee Lambs. Okay, so CeeDee Lambs on the books for $35 million. Okay, now you need to go get a quarterback. Who's going to? So if you go 7-10, you're not going to have a high enough pick to get a Shador, to get a Carson Beck, to get a Quinn Ewers. You're going to be like in the middle. So you're going to have to trade more assets to move up in the draft and go get somebody. So I think Jerry wants to be as stable as possible for this dysfunctional franchise, which I think Jerry pretty much gets in the way of everything and kind of wants to meddle. And he's a meddling owner, in my opinion. And I think Uncle Manny can attest to that.
Yeah, you read my mind. We don't talk about politics, but Jerry needs to hand the platoon to the new owner. And he also said, all in Cowboys with a laughing face and a sad face. It's a sad time to be at.
They went all in and they didn't sign anybody. I think they signed like one offensive.
They just re-signed somebody. I don't think they signed anybody. They just re-signed a guy.
Yeah, I don't think they made any moves in free agency. It's all coming down to it's all coming down to you don't have any leverage. CD holds out. CD's losing this, that money. Who is, like I already said, who is Dak? Dak's going to throw to Turpin.
Jalen Tolbert, Jalen Brooks, Ryan Flonery, a rookie, and
they're going to have a field day.
Amen.
So I already think, and this is going to be a preview for us, I think the Cowboys are going to come in third. I don't think they make the playoffs. I don't think they're good. I don't think their team's good enough. I think they come in third in their division.
Commanders in second?
Oh, I'm a Commando fan. I'm going Commando.
Following Brandon Ayuk, I see.
I'm going Commando. No, not following Ayuk because he's going to be in Frisco, where he is right now, Santa Clara. But I think the Cowboys take a step back, and I think CeeDee Lamb is just the tip of the iceberg for them. They're going to have to pay him because we just named their receiving core without CeeDee Lamb. It looks very mediocre. So they're going to need him. Obviously, they're going to need Dak Prescott for the year that the mediocre year that he's probably going to have. But I think it's kind of inevitable that Mike McCarthy's gone, and I don't know if Dak's gone, but I think it's also inevitable that you're going to pay CD and you're going to pay Michael Parsons. But hey, Ezekiel Elliott's been in the backfield. Just like Zeke's back, guys. He's gonna save us. He's gonna save us. The return is back. You remember the last time Dak and Zeke was in the backfield together? I can't wait because they just let go of Pollard. Where's Pollard at now? Is he in Houston? Houston. Is that where Kevin beat?
Tennessee. Sorry, I thought I was being
Tennessee. There we go. Tennessee got him. So. Cowboy fans. I can't wait. Can't wait for this year for you guys. They are plus 175 to win the division. I did look that up.
So we are now moving on to a former Eagle, Haasan Reddick, sitting out from New York Jets training camp in hopes of getting a new deal. Toddy and I went back and forth on this over and over and over. Y'all gonna pay him, Kevin?
Months ago.
No. Y'all gonna pay him, Kevin? No. Y'all gonna pay him, Kevin? No. He wants top 10 money? Hey, man, go chase that bag. You want top 10 money? Go out there and get that top 10 money. So I looked up the top 23 edge rushers, and they're
23.
So Haasan Reddick falls at 23. He's a 23rd highest. He's a 22nd highest edge rusher, and he's in 30 years old. So he wants top 10 money like guys like Nick Bosa, $34 million a year, 26 years old. Josh Allen, 28.25, 27 years old. Brian Burns, 28.2, 26 years old. There's guys like Rashawn Gary that are 26 years old. So he wants Max Crosby money, 23 and a half. He's 26 years old. So all these guys with these top deals are younger guys. Yeah, Max Crosby only 26 years old. So he wants that money without the age price. The only top edge rusher that's over 29 is Danielle Hunter at 24 and a half and TJ Watt at 29. So he wants to play a young man's game, and unfortunately, it just sucks. He deserves it. He is, in the last 3 years, he is fifth in sacks in the NFL, 50 games with 38 sacks. Fourth in that list is 48 games, 39.5 sacks. And Trey Henderson, Micah Parsons is third on this list with 50 games with 40 and a half sacks. Nick Bosa is third on this list with 50 games, 44 and a half sacks. Myles Garrett, 49 games, 46 sacks. And TJ Watt, 42 games, 47 sacks. So the stats don't lie. He has top 10 number production, but like I tell Toddy, once you hit 30, in the eyes of every GM in the world, you're getting old. At some point, you're going to fall off this cliff, and is that time for now? Is that now time, Haasan Reddick's time? I'm not going to go out there and say anything because, of course, I want the second round pick. So I need him to – he don't got to resign. That don't mean nothing. I need 10 sacks. Get 10 sacks first 6-7 weeks and shut it down. Say, I ain't playing again until I get paid. Then we get a second round pick, and he gets paid. Everybody wins.
As Kevin sent us a group chat picture of him in Tokyo, and they asked him, they were saying there was like the graphic, it was a picture of him in Tokyo, and he's going to sit out and he wants money, and kept saying they wants a second round pick. He's not going to get it, Kevin, because he's not going to get the money. He's not going to play. You knew he wasn't going to play.
How did you know he was going to play? I mean, why trade for him if you're not going to pay him?
How we knew how much money they wanted. It was like, well, if you can find somebody that's going to pay you, we'll send you over there. They'll take care of you. Found a sucker in the Jets. And the Jets are usually always the butt of everybody's jokes. And now they're stuck with him. And he's asking for $28-30 million. Jets are nowhere near that money. So, Kev, where do you think it's a good number for Haasan Reddick? 22? 23?
23.
$23 million. Well, I want 28, goddammit.
Well, you better ask one of them Japan leagues for 30.
They got that again?
They don't do 30 for 30 is only documentaries. They don't give 30-year-olds 30 mil.
Oh, man. When you mentioned Max Crosby on that list, I'm like, under all those guys, I'm like, Max Crosby should be like top. He should ask for some more money. If anybody should ask for some more money. So, yeah, it's not looking good for Haasan Reddick. I don't know. He's got to – because, them fines be hitting.
Them fines is nothing but pocket change to these dudes.
Some people.
Hey, you not sitting out if you don't got it.
That's true. That's true.
If you ain't got it, you like Brandon Ayuk. Backpack and shorts. I'm there. I ain't got it like that. But if you ain't sitting out if you don't got it. CeeDee Lambs not at home missing this money. If you ain't sitting out if you don't have it. Point blank period.
CeeDee at camp? He wasn't at camp, was he? No.
He's like, hey, man, I'll cash up in my fine every day, coach. Here you go, Jerry. Cash app. You ain't even got to find me, dog. I'll just send you the money.
Forgive me for having to step away for a couple minutes, guys. My dog, his name is Bubbles. Yeah, his name, Bubbles, is deciding to be a pest right now. And even though I just took him out and he's at my apartment, so it's not as easy as just letting him in the backyard. But just let him out, got back in here, and he still wants to just sit there and bark at me. So it's one of those days. I think he's pissed because
we're in the dog days.
Too late. Yeah, right. But I think he's being an irritant right now because he didn't get a walk this morning before it got too hot to take him for a walk because he's an old man that needs to go when it's less than 70 degrees. And you might have just heard him right now. Apologies if you did. But anyways, thank you for holding it down.
Taking over for Blue.
I had to step away. Yeah, I know. He's taking over for Blue. So real quickly, guys, I didn't get a chance to tune in on YouTube as I stepped outside, but did you already, or Kevin, have you guys gone in order of what
No, of course, we couldn't do BA without you. So we just did CeeDee Lamb and Haasan Reddick. So we still got to do Matthew Stafford, Jordan Love, and 49ers.
Perfect. So let's get to the quarterbacks next then, because Matthew Stafford, he won a Super Bowl a couple years ago. Hasn't been great since. But he did get a contract after that Super Bowl, and that contract has run out of guaranteed money leading into this season. And so ahead of this potentially being Matthew Stafford's last season in the NFL, potentially, who knows? He wanted to rework his contract because he wanted more guaranteed money. Wanted to make it less easy for the Rams to just cut him. And so, Jaevon, what did you think about this? Because the one thing I'll say about this topic is that I have a friend named Eric who is a Los Angeles Rams fan, and he texted me a screenshot of the graphic from Instagram that Adam Schefter posted where it was just a photo of Matthew Stafford and it said breaking news. And he took the screenshot without the caption under it. And I was like, so what's the news? And he was like, oh, just contract talks. And he was like, but it scared the shit out of me. And I'm like, yeah, you just see breaking news with the guy's photo. Like, he could have retired. He could have torn an ACL. And then Eric even said, yeah, he could have died. And I was like, okay, I don't know if they would have put breaking news with a photo of him in his Rams uniform. Like, if anything, it would have been in gray. Anyways, Matthew Stafford is trying to get more money. Toddy, should the Rams do it?
I thought it was a very smart move by Matthew Stafford because that bread was starting to run out. He was like, hey, man, we got to figure it out what we're going to be doing for these next couple of years. Because I think Matthew Stafford's at the end of the road. I was in the league for it seemed like a while. I remember when I was in middle school, Matthew Stafford.
I think he was drafted in 2009, first overall.
So I was for sure I remember the game when we played the Lions. It was Harbaugh versus, I think, Jim Schwartz, and then Harbaugh, goes up to him at the end of the game and slaps Schwartz on the butt or something like that, and they were about to fight or something. But I mean, Stafford's he's been in the league a long time. He's trying to squeeze as much money as he can out of this thing. I don't know how many. I'd say is he on the Rams next year? That's a real question. I'm not sure. Their roster is not bad. They did lose Aaron Donald to retirement. Stafford has been battling injury the past couple of seasons. And I think, the Rams were trying to get him to take a pay cut after he's kind of signed that contract. He was like, hey, let's try to rework everything. He was like, nah, I'm not reworking shit. So he's trying to squeeze as much money as he can out of these guys, which I don't blame him for. But I think this is a smart deal on Matthew Stafford. I think he can still play. A lot of people think he's the best quarterback in the NFC. I've seen that. Some people think he's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. Just based off of his talents alone. He's one of the more talented quarterbacks in the league, but I wouldn't say he's the best quarterback in the NFC. But he's got a Super Bowl. But I think the Rams are always going to be good if they have the combination of Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay. You're going to kind of have to just build around that. Puka Nacua, he's going to be up for his second season. Cooper Kupp, can he stay healthy? And we'll see what this defense kind of looks like. When Aaron Donald is no longer on the team. So I think the Rams are going to be very competitive. They should make the playoffs. They made it last year. Why not make it again this year? If not, they'd be a really competitive, scrappy team. I don't know if they get any further, make any noise in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it definitely could be dependent on Kyron Williams in the backfield as well. Kevin, is this the right move? Obviously, it's the right move for Stafford, but should the Rams do it or think about moving on?
I mean, until you have another guy in that building, like Toddy mentioned, we talked about with the Cowboys, you want to, of course, you would love to replace a quarterback when one gets old, but they don't just grow on trees. You have to be very, very bad to be one of the good quarterbacks. So
they got Jimmy G.
Is Matthew Stafford going to sit around and be bad forever? No, he didn't come here to be bad. He did his whole career in Detroit being bad. He doesn't want to do that in La La Land. So I think it's a great move for them. Quarterbacks play a lot longer nowadays. You see the Tom Brady's, of course, who's kind of the ultimate, the end all be all. Well, there's Aaron Rodgers of the world, and so as long as you can keep moving in that pocket, you can play for a while. So I'm happy to see Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay continue to lock in for another 4 years.
Yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see how this turns out, because the Rams obviously traded for Stafford to get a Super Bowl. They got that Super Bowl, but it hasn't been much to show for it since, they made the playoffs last year, but then you got eliminated by the guy that you shipped out of town with multiple picks just to get the guy you got. Granted, they got a Super Bowl. Toddy and I, as 49ers fans born in 1998, I would say F them picks too, just to get one. So Kevin shuts up and stops playing his little ass violin. But yet, we're not at that point. So anyways, no matter what Jaevon and I may say as 49ers fans, when it comes to the Rams, they've gotten their one in the 21st century. We have not. And so there you go. Kevin, I heard you mention at the beginning of your answer, Love. Speaking of Love, Jordan Love is holding in at Packers training camp, is just like Brandon Ayuk. Just
the
like
guys
Brandon
that can't afford it have to hold in.
Pretty much, exactly. And so, just like Brandon Ayuk, Jordan Love is at training camp, but he's in street clothes. And the big difference here is,
who's the backup quarterback for the Packers?
I can look for it.
Who?
Kevin said he can look for it.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to tell us in the background as well. But
I kind of fucked with that one. So I feel like a deal is Oh, go ahead.
I don't know any of these dudes. We have a Shaun Clifford. I think I know the name Jacob Eason. I think I've heard the name Jacob Eason.
Shaun Clifford from Penn State, Jacob Eason from Georgia, then Washington.
Oh, yeah, it's UW. Okay. And then we have Michael Pratt from Tulane. He's a rookie.
Okay, I legit have never heard of Michael Pratt in my life, but at least I knew the other two guys.
Football, so I know that is.
Oh, Tony, the degenerate gambler, knows all about Tulane.
Yeah. Like I said, they're kind of fucked without him. So,
it's crazy. I don't mean, Tony, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's crazy because would you have said that same statement 365 days ago that the Packers would be fucked without Jordan Love? They were just hoping that Jordan Love would be a capable starting quarterback. Now, apparently, he's a top 5 quarterback in the NFC to some people.
Yeah, I mean, a year ago, I was on the Jordan Love train before most people were.
And then you hopped off, so you get no credit.
You hopped off and jumped on the Saints.
I was on the Packers and the Saints and stayed on the Saints train, which was crazy town.
Bad judgment.
But I mean, Love, he played a good half of the year. I think a lot of people are kind of skeptical on what he can be. I think he's probably arguing like, hey, back half of the season got us into the playoffs, won a playoff game on the road while being underdogs in Jerry World. So he's arguing like, hey, I got a playoff win over, they were a touchdown underdogs in that game. So he's probably saying, look what I did in the playoffs. That's kind of where a lot of quarterbacks make their money. I did what a bunch of quarterbacks haven't done. When's the last time Dak won, winning in playoff games? So I can see where people are like, why don't you just pay him? What are we waiting on? Versus let's see him do it for a full season. I think those are two fair arguments. Even with Purdy. Like Purdy, we saw him catch lightning in the bottle. Galloway in the NFC Championship got hurt. Couldn't really show what happened in the playoffs that year. Okay, gets hurt. All right, now let's see next year. Is it a fluke? No, get the number 1 seed, go all the way to the Super Bowl. So I'm like, okay. I feel like he's kind of proved kind of what he is. This season coming up for him would be a little bit more on top. With Jordan Love, I feel like he hasn't really played a full season yet. So we kind of are still waiting in the weeds to see what he kind of is, even though he kind of showed you what he already is in the playoffs, but you would like to see it for another full season. So it was smart for the Packers to kind of sign him on that, that deal, because his rookie deal was coming up. So they signed him to I forgot what it was. It was like $25 million or something like that as an extension, like another extension or something like that. You guys can probably put the numbers up on that. But Jordan Love's like, hey, you guys need me. I feel like same with kind of CeeDee Lamb, or even with Matt Stafford too, even though he's not really signing an extension. The Packers need Jordan Love because, as Kevin named the quarterbacks that were on that roster, you have Shaun Clifford, Jacob Eason, and you have Pratt from Tulane. So you want to roll out with one of these guys, or do you just want to pay me? Because the Packers aren't really paying anybody anyway, so you might as well pay your quarterback. So Jordan Love, I feel like he has all the leverage.
Kevin, what should the Packers do here? Because I think ultimately they do need to pay him because, as Toddy was saying at the jump, like they're basically screwed without him at this point. But it's like, should they pay him now or should they pay him after Dak gets paid? Like, this is the thing that I don't really understand. Like with the 49ers, I get it because you have a huge laundry list of other guys, Brandon Ayuk and Trent Williams at the top of the list, that need to get paid before you pay your rookie quarterback. And so with the 49ers, I understand waiting until the last possible minute and second to pay your quarterback. But with the Packers, like they have all of their players that are at skilled positions are all on rookie deals too, basically, at least their whole wide receiver core. And so why not pay him sooner rather than later? Because he's ultimately going. Do you guys hear my dog as much as I do? Because I just feel like he has been a problem this entire episode. And he's really starting to piss me off. Kevin, let's hear your thoughts because I'm getting tired of this guy. I love him dearly, but he's pissed me off.
So I'm looking at the contracts right now. Trent Williams. We haven't even started talking about him yet. But Jordan Love, where does he fit? Is he more like a $55 million? I don't think he's getting 60. Is he in the 4? What is he looking for? Like, how much money is he kind of supposed to get? Like, is he going to get? Like, I'm looking at like Matt Stafford's extension. Here it goes, coming up. It's pulling up. Sorry, guys. So, okay. So we have. I'm seeing Jalen Hurts is making 50. Kyler Murray's at 46. Deshaun Watson's at 46. Kirk Cousins at 45. Like, where does he fall into that? Like, is he getting – I don't think he's getting 55 like Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence. Goff is making 53, which is kind of insane. Herbert's at 52. Lamar's at 52. Like, if you go down the list, like, Patrick Mahomes is making 45. So, like, how much money does Jordan Love think he's going to get? I'm looking at Aaron Rodgers.
60?
60 million.
I mean, Toddy, you know how this works. It's not necessarily about the best quarterback gets the most money. It's the most recently paid starting quarterback gets the most money. This is exactly why NFL owners are trying to impose a salary cap just for quarterbacks because the numbers just keep getting higher and higher and higher. I hear all the old heads that I talk to saying, how could this player make $40 million a year? Guess what? In 10 years, quarterbacks will probably make $100 million a year if there isn't an NFL quarterback salary cap that's inputted before then. But also, I will continue to argue that the players deserve their percentage. In the NBA, I think it's a 50-50 split. NFL, I think it's like 49-51 or 52-48. But the players deserve their slice of the bread. Because think about it. If you have Patrick Mahomes years ago signing a 10-year deal worth $450 million, how much money do you think the Hunt family that owns the Chiefs are getting on a yearly basis? That's my whole point. But Kevin, before we get to Toddy and I's
fair number for him, 40 a year. That's like
it's
Dak, Matt Stafford, Daniel Jones is making 40.
Yeah, but the thing is it's just like Jordan. Would you say that Jordan Love is better than Daniel Jones?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Would you say that who was the other quarterback that got recently paid? There was one other quarterback other than Daniel Jones that was like a mid-tier deal. But Geno Smith. Is he better than Geno Smith?
He's making
Yes.
20. Yeah. Baker's making 30. 33.
And so Baker was the other one. And so it's like, is Jordan Love better than those guys? Yes. That means that he's most likely going to get paid top dollar because it's not about who the best quarterback is. It's about who the most recently paid quarterback is. I mean, simply put, and I am not sharing an original thought. I heard this today on Around the Horn on ESPN, so shout out to whatever panelist said this. But NFL teams are willing to pay backups like Chase Daniel $7 million a year to sit on the bench and do nothing, but they don't want to pay Saquon Barkley or any other running back $10 million a year. Like, make it make sense. It makes sense just simply because quarterback is such, like, it's an irreplaceable position. You can't go without a quarterback and have a successful team. And I mean, I was not even going to acknowledge these comments, but it's actually relevant to what I'm about to say. Cousin Marcellus says on the YouTube comments, "Hey Kev, remember when the Eagles lost at the Link?
It gets worse, Toddy."
And then Kevin replies, "At least my team knows the overtime rules." Great comeback. And then Marcellus says, reporting that comment. But the overall point in bringing up Marcellus' comment is the last 49ers-Eagles matchup before the stink at the Link was the NFC Championship game in which the 49ers lost their quarterback like at the beginning of the game. And then we saw a team, because their fourth-string quarterback suffered a concussion, we saw what a team looks like in real time trying to win a game without a quarterback. It's ugly. That's why, even if it's Josh Johnson, I'd rather have Josh Johnson at quarterback than trying to make our running back throw passes. And so that's why these backups are even getting paid $7-8 million a year. I think we're all unanimous on this one that Jordan Love needs to get paid. It's just a matter of time. Speaking of time, we're running out of it. So let's get to our final segment when it comes to training camp buzz. And it just says 49ers. The reason why it just says 49ers is because there are now multiple 49ers who are not participating in training camp. Kevin's been waiting a week for this, Jaevon. He's actually been waiting 9 days for this. And so, anywho, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Brandon Ayuk is holding in. He is at training camp. I even said to Kevin yesterday, he reported to training camp. This is good news. He's not suited up, but I don't necessarily blame him. I'm glad he's there. And also, he doesn't want to take all those fines like his peer, CeeDee Lambs. Then you look at the other guy who was not at training camp at all today.
God.
He was at OTAs at the beginning of June. That is important context. But the player who was not at training camp today is Trent Williams, another one of those guys who got paid by the 49ers, but they front-loaded his deal. So then there was no guaranteed money at the end. Now he wants to get his deal restructured. And now the best offensive lineman in the NFL and likely of all time is not reporting to camp when this team has a chance to make another Super Bowl run.
Shaking me down.
Jaevon, what are your thoughts on the 49ers training camp holdouts between the hold-in, Brandon Ayuk, and the holdout, Trent Williams?
Trent, you try to shake me down right now. Trent is top 3 at his position. He's
not 2 or 3. He's not 2 or 3.
No, he's
at left tackle.
Oh yeah, no, I meant like highest paid. He's the best left tackle in the game.
Oh, gotcha.
He's behind Andrew Thomas, who's making 23.5. He's at 23.10.
Was Jordan Mailata the highest paid?
Laramie Tunsil is at 25 a year. So Laramie Tunsil's making 25, and Trent's like, hey, I'm getting up there in age. I was the highest rated left tackle at my position. I was the highest rated left tackle ever by the players, like in the top 100 NFL history. He's a Hall of Famer. He probably wants like a $3 million raise. And I'm like, Trent, you know what? We're in a standstill right now. We are at war. We just paid Christian McCaffrey. We gave him like an $8 million raise. We're trying to pay we're trying to get Brandon Ayuk's deal done, and then Trent's not showing up to camp. So I'm trying to figure out what the hell is the holdup. I don't know if he wants to be the highest paid tackle in the league. Is it like up? Does he want something to get converted into a bonus? I'm trying to figure out what is it that's so contractual. Like he's making $2 million less than the highest paid left tackle in the league. So Trent is holding me upside down. Feet are to the ceiling. Pause. And he's shaking all my coins out. He's shaking all the coins out of my pockets. He's trying to see if I got any coupons. He's getting everything. He's trying to get everything that I can. I don't blame him. He's the best left tackle in football, so I understand why he's like, hey, let's figure out what we need to do, because he's probably not making that much this year, but as far as his contract goes, he's the third highest paid left tackle in the league. As Shaun said, his contract was front loaded, so he's probably trying to get some more money on the back end. But yeah, I mean, we're already trying to get Brandon Ayuk's deal done, which I feel like is going to be coming pretty soon because we are in training camp. I get that he asked for a trade, but Deebo Samuel also asked for a trade in then a couple of weeks. Or training camp kind of comes, the draft comes and goes. We get to training camp, and then he gets a new deal. So Trent Williams probably wants a restructured deal to where he's probably going to make some more money on the back end of his contract. I don't know. I feel like that should get done pretty quickly. Like Christian McCaffrey was like, hey, Christian's not at OTAs. And then all of a sudden, Christian got a new deal. I think the same thing's going to happen. It's going to be crazy, too, because I feel like Trent Williams' restructure is going to happen before Brandon Ayuk. And Brandon Ayuk's going to flip his wig. And we kind of need Trent Williams. We need him. The numbers are not the same without him. Run our pass game. He's just one of those guys that you just have to have on your team. I think he's going to retire a Niner. Like I said, I think a restructure is going to be coming pretty soon. Brandon Ayuk is going to get leapfrogged again by one of his teammates, and it's going to look really, really bad. But I still think Brandon Ayuk gets a deal done. We're just stacking more problems on the other. Ricky Pearsall's out with a freaking hamstring injury.
Who?
Our rookie.
Brandon Ayuk's replacement.
I'm not sure if it's
but I thought BA was staying.
I don't know if it's a replacement.
Deebo Samuel's replacement. One of them has to go. They can't pay them both. It's reality. Sorry, Toddy. Go ahead.
But yeah, it's not looking good for. It's not gonna look good for BA's deal because because Trent called and said, hey, we need to figure this shit out. And they're like, okay, we're going to figure it out. Brandon Ayuk says, hey, we need to figure it out. We're like, hey, we'll get back to you. That's kind of what it looks like right now. So we are at the crossroads right now. And all the contract shit is coming up, and we're just in the news daily about contract this, contract that. If I hear contract one more goddamn time, I'm going to flip this table.
It's all training camp. Get used to it.
So, yeah, that's what's going on right now.
Yeah, and before we get Kevin's thoughts on this, obviously, I'm sure you guys want to hear from the other 49er fan, and I'm not talking about Bubbles behind me barking it up. Talking about myself because, as I said to Kevin in our group chat this morning, and as I said at the top of today's show, Brandon Ayuk, not worried at all. Not worried one bit because we've seen them get a deal done with Deebo, George Kittle, Christian McCaffrey, Nick Bosa. This is what John Lynch does. He's a great GM. He will negotiate till the final minute before the first game, and I love him for that. But
Nick Bosa deal got done a week before the season started. So.
Exactly. And that deal is the one that worried me the most. George Kittle's deal got done during training camp. Yeah. I mean, so Fred Warner, Deebo, Christian McCaffrey, all these deals. And so I wasn't worried at all when it comes to Brandon Ayuk. I've been saying nonstop that the 49ers either get Brandon Ayuk to play on his 5th-year option that he signed as a first-round pick. It's a big difference between being a first-round pick and a second-round pick. He was pick number 25 in 2020. He was 8 picks away from not having a 5th-year option. But guess what, buddy? We traded up for you. So we get a 5th-year option. And so because of that, he is contractually obligated to play or sit out and take all the fines. Obviously, he doesn't want to take a single fine. And so is it going to be Le'Veon Bell 2.0? Hell no. Brandon Ayuk is either going to play on his 5th-year option, or if the 49ers want to be nice and they actually want to keep him around long-term and maybe ship Debo off because of his injury history. Kevin keeps reminding us of how Debo had an amazing season right before he needed to get paid, and he hasn't really done much stats-wise since, and it's because the injuries just keep stacking up. And I love Debo so much, but it's the reality. And so if the 49ers decide on keeping Brandon Ayuk rather than Debo Samuel, because even though Debo Samuel is a wide back and literally created a brand new position for himself because of his versatility, but Brandon Ayuk is also probably one of, if not the best route runner in the NFL. So if the 49ers decide we likely want to keep Ayuk long-term, then what they will likely do going into this season is rather than giving him a brand new extension, they'll just restructure his contract, give him an incentives-heavy 5th year, and then they can negotiate it after the season because BA feels if he has another breakout season, his leverage just increased even more to where he will get paid more than Justin Jefferson, who is the highest paid non-quarterback in the NFL. That's what Brandon Ayuk aspires to be. Yes, Kevin, if he has another 1,300-yard season, he will have that leverage because it's not about being the best wide receiver in the NFL. It's not about being the best quarterback in the NFL. It's about being the most recently paid. And so if Brandon Ayuk has another crazy good season like he did last year, he will have that leverage. That's what he's going to be playing for. And so all of that said, as Kevin does his research to refute whatever point I just made, when it comes to Brandon Ayuk, I'm not worried at all. Trent Williams, I'm extremely worried. They need to get a deal done today or yesterday because the 49ers do not make it back to the Super Bowl without Trent Williams. Brock Purdy needs Trent Williams. Kevin, what did you want to refute?
Wait, can we tag him? I don't think we could tag him. Can we?
Nah.
Damn.
I think you missed the window to tag him.
I will look that up. Kevin, what were you going to say?
So, Brandon Ayuk, more than Justin Jefferson, a measly 13,000 yards is going to get it done. Rookie Justin Jefferson put up 1450. Didn't follow it with 1616.
You weren't listening to what I said, obviously.
It does not matter about who's next up. Justin Jefferson is the cap. You got to do a lot more than 13 to pass that.
Really? Because I would have thought that Patrick Mahomes would have been the cap. And there's been like 15 quarterbacks that topped him since.
And let me tell you what, not everyone's Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes taking homie deals. Receivers are divas.
Was that really a homie deal though when he signed
long
it?
Term it was. Yeah, he signed it.
Long term, yes. Yeah, long term, yes. But when he signed it, making 45 a year, I'm almost positive that 45 a year was the highest annual rate at the time.
Yeah,
that's not the case anymore.
I just don't think 365 days from now we're saying Brandon Ayuk is the highest paid athlete in football.
Except
non-quarterback.
Non-quarterback, yeah. I mean,
I get
he'll get a payday, but yeah, better than Justin. Money is crazy, but
Patrick could sit out tomorrow and demand a new contract.
I got a lot of things on this notes. We got time crunch, so I'm just gonna give you guys a story time.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Have you guys ever had somebody owe you money?
Oh yeah.
And you see them going to Hawaii, sitting on a yacht, buying Slurpees on 7-Eleven day, and they ain't gave you $20 yet. So they have the money, they just don't have it for you. So BA went up there. They said 26 is all we got. We're crunched. The plug just got jammed up. We can't help you. 2 days later, the highest paid running back became even a highest paid running back. So they got the money. They just don't got it for Brandon Ayuk. So let's fast forward again. In the middle of contract negotiations, what do they do with their first round pick? Ricky Parcell.
Pearsall.
Doesn't matter. Whatever.
It's gonna matter.
He's not even playing. He's not even practicing.
You're gonna put some respect on his name eventually.
Okay.
You know, There is
That man fucking
nothing
shifty.
I'd rather more than first, second, and third down Jaevon on the left. We got Debo on the Y back and Ricky at the X. Hey, Bradbury, you can come back and play against these guys. Come on. You can come play against these guys, Brad. I don't know about the rest of the NFC, Bradbury, but you can play against these guys for sure.
Debo already cooked his ass, but all right.
Yeah, but you know why Debo did, right? I talk to Toddy about this all the time. It's easy for the fourth option to get off.
Okay.
I mean, let's be real. Was Debo not the fourth option?
No. He was the second option. He was the second option.
He just be talking. Just let him talk. Just let him talk.
So BA wasn't a second option?
Not when he cooked him. Oh no.
I'm talking about the whole season.
Shaun, what was the score of the final last time we was in the league?
Okay, we're getting off topic.
It was 42. Hold on, no, wait. No, but
stay on topic.
Nothing.
Okay.
Let's talk about
Hold on, wait. No. You're not gonna ask those questions and then not get a response. So let's put the final score aside, right? Kevin, do you remember how many touchdowns Deebo Samuel had in that game against Philly?
And
not one, not two, but three. The fourth option had 3 touchdowns. What are you talking about?
You got all-pro on the backfield. You got all-pro on the outside at the X. You got all-pro tight end. Who gives a fuck about a Y back? You got all-pros everywhere. You're not worried about the Y back.
Shaun, just let him talk.
All right.
I'm just saying, that was the best game of the year. He wore his all black. He wore his nice outfit. That was the best game of his year.
He was prodded down.
And then he tried to do it in the Super Bowl. It didn't work. But you know what? I was trying to be nice and be time-consuming. But we can just scrap the rest of the segments and we can just end on this.
Oh, God.
He's done everything right.
Jaevon, he's pulling a switcheroo. Him and I have been texting about how we were going to end the show. Kevin's calling it audible. Let's hear it, Kevin. Go ahead.
So, Shaun mentioned in the group chat and now that 3A has no leverage. He is contractually has to play on a 5th-year option.
Yes.
So you're telling me he is going to be the 5th highest. He's going to be the 18th highest paid receiver. You're going to have him go out there with 3 other wide receiver 2s making more money than him. For what? You guys have him blocking downfield. Let's keep it a stat. When you guys needed a play and Debo's out against the Packers, who do you throw the ball to? BA. Against the Lions, when you need a play, who do you throw it to? You don't throw it to the Y back. You don't throw it to Kittle. You throw it to BA. Brandon Ayuk and Purdy are like this. He knows 5 yards, turn. I know when he's going to come in out of a break. Ricky, whatever his name is, that's a lot of chemistry he got to build. So now Ricky's got drafted to be a 5th. Now he's taking slots. He's taking reps at the slot. You got Jaevon Jennings playing the X. No. Jaevon Jennings don't even know where X falls in the alphabet. Jaevon Jennings don't ever play the X. He's taking reps at the X, knowing damn well in his head he's just wasting reps. Because the day BI signs that paper, he's right back to wherever the hell he was. You guys got all these other things going on, but let's play this game. You guys were in a similar situation. You always talk about the Debos, and you always talk about the Nick Bosas. You want to talk about DeForest Buckner? You guys let him walk. And said, Javon Kinlaw, he's the man. We're good. What did Javon Kinlaw do? Jack shit. What did you try to do last offseason? Javon Hargrave. So, yes, you guys have the examples of it working, but there's DeForest Buckner, still an all-pro defensive tackle that could have been in San Francisco, but you guys said, hey, we don't want to pay to play over here. We're just going to let him go over here. Go ahead. We got a rookie, Javon Kinlaw. You see these college rookies? You see these college highlights? Look at him. And then it's, he's a bust. Javon Hargrave looked damn good in the Eagles jersey. He got to do it with us. Let's make him the 2nd highest paid defensive tackle in the game.
Pro Bowler.
He wasn't a Pro Bowler. He got went to the Super Bowl. But that was cute. He would not have been a Pro Bowler. I can pull up the defensive tackle stats right now, and I promise you.
But hold on, Kev. Was he a Pro Bowler or was he not? Was he a Pro Bowler or was he not, Kevin?
He wasn't. You guys didn't. He wasn't a Pro Bowler.
Look it up.
Really? Because look at that right there.
What? My glasses. I got my glasses on there.
Wow. 2-time Pro Bowl, 2023.
Crazy.
Oh,
so now your whole argument just collapsed on itself.
You got me there.
It is what it is.
Hey, but he was trash once he got on the Niners, though. He was trash.
Hey, what did he do for you guys?
He helped get us to a Super. He helped get us to a Super Bowl.
You did.
And
that
then
you went to without him, correct? And the same result happened. So what did he truly do for you?
Kevin, does Brandon get a deal?
All he got was a motherfucking sweatsuit. He went to San Francisco for a sweatsuit. He went 2 years in a row and came back with none but a sweatsuit. He tried it with us, and he tried it with you guys. He is now a sweatsuit collector. That's who is the second highest paid defensive tackle in the NFL. A sweatsuit collector. Like all the Niner fans, all the Niner players, they just go to the big game, they watch the halftime show in the locker room, and they get a sweatsuit. That's all that happens.
Does Brandon Ayuk get a deal done, or does he get traded?
No, there's no way in hell Brandon Ayuk gets a deal done because, like you said, who needs to get paid now? Trent Williams, B8 here, not CMC. Drop. Trent, drop. Hey, man. I don't know how many guys want to sit around and just watch all these other old dudes get paid and not him. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's
all right. That's fair. Kevin, we get into any of our 2 recurring segments at the end, or are we calling it?
Nah, we're calling it. You guys got me hot.
All right.
It always comes back to the stink and the link. I can't ever say anything because it always comes back to the stink and the link.
Hey, man.
Okay, because I remember 365 days ago, I was the same way. So I get it. But, I mean, when we won, we hung a banner. You guys just got to.
Oh, more than 365.
I mean, Kevin, you wanted to reference 365 days ago. When you won, you did not hang a banner. You hung an NFC championship.
Whoa. It was an NFC championship. Hold on.
You hung an NFC championship
2024,
banner.
Week 12 win. Let's hang up the banner. We beat the Eagles. Put it in the rafters, goddammit. We beat them.
No, we got our
Lincoln, hang that bitch up there.
No. We have our NFC championship banner too.
But she didn't beat us. Ours says beat the fuck out the Niners.
Beat the fuck out of 49ers team without a quarterback. That's what you did.
Hey, that's not my fault the guru can't know how to block.
Hey, man.
Kyle Shanahan, coach of the year, best offensive coach in the world. You putting a third string tight end on Haasan Reddick. It's not my fault. You did it not once, but twice, and both of your quarterbacks went out. It's not my fault.
Kevin, as I mentioned earlier,
Kyle Shanahan can't win the big game.
As I said earlier, that NFC championship game is a clear example of why backup quarterbacks get paid $7-8 million a year to sit on the bench. And Blaine Gabbert has been racking it up for years because he's just sitting on the bench, hanging out. And Bubbles is telling me it's time to go. So we're gonna wrap this thing up because he really is. He lives with my mom full time, but he tends to come over to my apartment maybe like once a week or so. He ain't gonna be here on another podcast.
Well, at least in your defense, Shaun, we weren't supposed to record today. In your defense, Bubbles was like, "Look, it ain't Monday."
Yeah, and also
Blues in my room pissed like that. It's not Monday. What are we doing? Ain't no podcast,
right? Yeah, I know, and like also the fact that Toddy, at the very beginning of the show, we were talking about like the differences in heat, how like Kevin is like thankful it's not 95 degrees anymore. And I was like, we would love that in Sacramento because like I try to give my dog a walk when it's 70 degrees or cooler because he's an old man who gets tired pretty quick. But like it was already 70 degrees by 6 a.m. in Sacramento. And so it's like, didn't really get a chance to do that. I'm going to try to go do it right now that it's dark outside. I know we're going. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for episode number 105 of Stats Over Politics. Make sure to give us a like on YouTube. Helps us a lot. And if you enjoy the podcast, hit subscribe to get notifications when we go live. And make sure to hit that little bell so you get every single notification. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at Stats Over Politics and on X at Stats or Politics. Make sure to see all the great content that Kevin is putting out there and maybe listening to right now. You can subscribe, rate, and review on all podcast platforms. And if you're enjoying the show, give us those 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it. As you guys have been tuned in to episode 105 of Stats Over Politics. For my guys, Kevin Dent and Jaevon Toddy, I'm your host, Shaun Holko. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next Monday at 7 p.m. here on Stats Over Politics. Peace.
Confetti.